Hello and welcome to ONTV's Fantasy Football League. I am the commish, Joe Johnson, joined once again by Ian Witherspoon. And when we last left you last week, I was surprised to find out on air that the ESPN league that we manage our league through has the default for a 2-week fantasy football playoffs. Have you ever experienced that before?
No, but it's more common now this year for whatever reason. Many leagues seem to be 2-week playoffs.
Wow, this is all new to me, so I was surprised last week. So thinking the teams that won last week were going to advance, I was corrected and found out that there was another week, which took place this past weekend, week 16.
Yeah.
So, having said that, they tally up the point total from both weeks. And if we look at the first game here, we will see that Ant soundly defeated Irish Brogues.
Garrett, yep.
198 to 123. 123 for a 2-week total. That's kind of pathetic, kind of sad. So it looks like Ant is going to advance to the championship game, and he is going to face Team Witherspoon, who, look at that score, won by 1 point when you combine both scores.
It's miraculous.
So recap what happened. Did you have a player going last night for Monday Night Football?
I had Jonathan Stewart going.
Oh, was it right?
I was down 4, and Joe had Greg Olson going, up 4.
Wow.
So thankfully, old Johnny Stewart in the last 3 minutes had a nice run.
Wow.
Because I was down like a point, and then I won by a point.
Oh, man.
So
wow.
Got very lucky.
That's fantasy football for you.
You know, Joe Velez, if you're watching, I'm sorry, man. You have got to be pretty peeved off.
Let's take a look at the box score from this past week. We'll take a look at the bench, too. First, let's look at the Ant versus Kevin game. Prescott, who Dallas Cowboys quarterback, he's been pretty consistent all season. Scored 21 points against Tampa Bay. But look at all those single digits, man. During playoff time, 3 points from Todd Gurley, who's been a disappointment all season long. I have him in one of my other leagues, and I was really counting on him to possibly do something. I know they were facing Seattle, but man, just big disappointment. One of the biggest busts of the season, if not the biggest bust. 2 points from Cooper, who's been fairly reliable all season. 2 from Witten, 2 from Benjamin. Man, I'm sure that hurt a lot of people in their playoff games. Mm-hmm. Ant, not a lot from his quarterback, Kirk Cousins, 10 points. 28 from LaShawn McCoy, who had a monster game, as I think we predicted last week against Cleveland. 153 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. What a monster performance from McCoy. I'm sure anyone who has him in their starting lineup is going to advance to their championship game. A lot of single digits on the rest of his roster. The bench wouldn't have made much of a difference. Let's see, Prescott had 21, Russell Wilson has 27, so not much of a difference there. More single digits, only 11 from Terrence West. 24 points from Andrew Luck. Did he? He outscored Cousins, but no real game changers there.
Interesting decision to go with Cousins over Luck.
You think so? Cousins been pretty good, hasn't he? Been playing pretty well?
He has. I could see the reasoning, but Carolina scares me.
Their defense is up and down.
They are. And Washington, needing to win to keep their playoff hopes alive, loses to Carolina at home. And that's what Carolina can do. Mm-hmm. You get mollywopped by the Niners maybe.
And then they act as the spoiler.
Right,
mm-hmm. Yeah. Excuse me. Now let's look at your game. Brandon Cooks, 30 points. But the guy who's throwing it to him is sitting on your bench, 40 points. Yeah. Tell me about your logic behind benching Drew Brees against Arizona.
So Brees was bad against the Lions. Brees was bad against the Bucs. This was week 3. I thought Brees is going to be bad. I didn't want to bench him, but I found Tyrod Taylor on the waiver wire, who's going against Cleveland. I figured that was a safe bet. If Brees cannot get past that Cardinals defense, Tyrod Taylor would have a decent week. He does all right, 18
He gave you
points.
18, but woo.
Wasn't 40.
Imagine losing with 40 points on your
You
bench.
know,
That
I
would've
came
ate
to
at
grips during Monday night. I said, I'm going to lose. I'm an idiot. But it is what it is.
Devontae Freeman's really come through for you, 29 points. He's proven to be their number one guy in Atlanta. I have Tevin Coleman on my roster, and he's been okay for me, but he didn't do anything this past week. It was all Freeman all the time. What was his stat line here? 139 yards and 3 touchdowns, man. That is the ultimate performance from a running back when big performances from running backs are few and far between this season.
Got lucky.
Look at poor Joe Velez's roster. 9 from Tom Brady. Imagine fantasy football leagues all over the country. You're hoping to get into the championship game. You got Tom Brady as your starter, who's been pretty consistent, and he gives you 9 points in the playoffs. That's brutal.
It's a tough matchup against Denver at Denver.
Yeah.
He struggles there. So I found it interesting Velez went with him. Stafford only got 2 more points, so it's not really much of a difference.
Yeah,
but,
it wouldn't have made much of a difference.
well, he would have won, actually, but.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That would have been the difference in winning and losing. David Johnson, he's going to be a high draft pick next year. He's been consistent all season long, 22 points against the Saints. He put up only 53 yards rushing, but 2 touchdowns. And I'm sure he tacked on some receiving yards to that too. Excuse me. Matt Bryant, 14 points. I mean, you look at his bench. Oh man, any one of those would have made the difference in the game. That's got to be so frustrating. But you pulled it off.
Somehow, I really thought it was going to end in a tie, and then in that case, it goes to the bench points, right?
I think so. Yeah, the tiebreaker.
So I was happy that Breeze was there, putting up 40 on my bench.
Yeah.
If it came to it, but.
Yeah, really. So it's going to come down to you and Ant in the championship game. And
Whoa.
I am playing for a consolation prize. And this turned out to be another 1-point game, 165 to 164. 26 points from Matt Ryan, who outscored Eli Manning. I was happy to put him in as the starter. 12 points from Beckham, 17 points from Jordan Howard, who I think that Chicago Bears running back is going to be another high draft pick next season.
Oh, yeah.
Once he came in and took over the starting role in Chicago, he's been pretty consistent and playing really well. So expect him to go high next year. Gave me a little bit of a scare last night on Monday Night Football. Cam Newton scored 27 points, had a pretty big game against Washington, but just came up short. 23 points from Ezekiel Elliott. Number 1 draft pick next week, or next year, you think, next season?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, he's just been fantastic all season long. I expect him to be the top pick next year.
No doubt.
Looking at the bench, like I said, Eli Manning was outscored, 11 points from Sterling Shepard. On the other side, Phillip Rivers, 19. That was far less than Cam Newton, so not much of a difference there. And then the final game, apparently I'm going to be playing Valhalla the Thrashers for the consolation prize.
Oh, I got to take on the boss.
179 to 156. And not a ton of points. Down game from Aaron Rodgers. 13 points. 15 from Bilal Powell, who's had a surprising season. I never really thought that he was going to be as effective as he has been on the Jets. He's been fairly consistent in the passing game and putting up 15 points last week, or this past weekend. 12 from Jordy Nelson, 11 Deshaun Jackson on Monday night. And Tyreek Hill, he came out of nowhere this season, putting up some monster points late in the season. Derek Carr on the other side, 13. Lamar Miller, 14. Ty Montgomery, Green Bay running back. When did he get the starting job? He's only been in there for
Like
a
this
few
week?
weeks. Yeah.
Last week?
He comes in, puts up 30 points.
I hate the Packers. God.
Let's see. No, it must have been in the passing game, right? Because it only. Wait, I'm confused. He's a wide receiver. No, so
He
what
is.
Did he, so
but,
what did he have?
Oh, that's showing receiving right now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Whoops. So yeah, how do you switch over to rushing yards?
Oop, hang on,
I don't know. But he did really well. 30 points, and I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get that starting job from here on out. We'll see. Reawakening falls just short of Valhalla, the Thrashers, and Valhalla will advance to take me on for the consolation ladder.
How do you feel if you're Sammy Termina?
Yeah, he's just out, isn't he?
What a mess.
Yeah. It's,
what a mess.
Kind of a shame. Feel bad for him.
Oh.
He's going to have to regroup.
Oh,
come
Sam.
Right.
It's all down to luck, you know.
So the championship game, again, is going to be the combination of the next 2 weeks, which will include week 17, which is kind of crazy because traditionally in fantasy football, you don't play games in week 17 because there's a good possibility that starters won't start.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting, but we're going to be taking this right up to the final week of the NFL season.
And luckily, most teams are, you know. There's only a few that have clinched spots. They're still working for seeding, so everyone's going to be playing, hopefully.
It seems like that's been the trend in the NFL, that they're not benching players over the last few seasons because everyone's fighting for home field advantage and all sorts of stuff. So hopefully in week 17, everyone will get their full complement of starters in week 17, but we'll see. So we're going to take a little break right now. When we come back, we're going to look ahead to week 16, which will be the first of our championship game, first round. And for a lot of people, it's going to be their championship game. So maybe we'll have some advice for you and help you out in your championship game. Come back right after this.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
From all of us here at ONTV, we'd like to wish you and yours the happiest of holiday seasons. All right, welcome back to ONTV Fantasy Football League. We are now going to look ahead to Week 16 in the NFL. Now, because Christmas falls on a Sunday, the majority of the NFL games are going to be played on Saturday, which is unusual. I don't recall that happening in recent memory. Do you?
I remember, the only thing I really remember is when the Lions played Monday Night Football on Saturday, 2012, the day before, the Saturday before Christmas. It's when Calvin got his 2,000 yards receiving, whatever, broke Jerry Rice's record, 1,800 yards, whatever it was. But yeah, I don't remember too many other games.
Yeah, the full complement. There's
pretty much.
There is a couple of Christmas games, right? There's Ravens, Steelers, and Broncos and Chiefs on Christmas Day, and then Lions and the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. What are you predicting for that?
Oh, you know what?
I'm scared. I'm nervous.
You know, I was a lot more scared for the Giants game. And I'm tired of being scared. This team has made us all scared and sad for years.
Yeah, we're all, we've been on such a great run. Now we're all bracing ourselves for that late season collapse, which seems to happen all the time.
And there's this divide every year. We're going to win the Super Bowl, go 14-2, or we stink, we're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Going into Dallas, I got to like where this team's mentality should be.
Yeah.
And that is in recalling the last time they were at Cowboy Stadium when they lost in the playoffs. So I think their juices should be flowing.
We'll see. What makes me nervous is the fact that the Lions couldn't get into the end zone last week. Could not put a single touchdown on the board.
They can't play outdoors.
Yeah.
And that Zach Zenner fumble killed everything.
Yeah.
Stafford underthrew Tate. on a 60-some yard pass, that should have been a touchdown if it was in stride.
And that finger, I'm concerned about the finger.
You know, I'm less concerned now.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think he looked all right. The zip was on his ball. It was raining.
Yeah.
So I think he looked all right.
We'll see. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm expecting the worst.
Per usual.
All right, let's look at the worst fantasy defenses in the league. Ranked dead last overall are the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to be traveling to L.A., two terrible teams playing against each other. Ranked 31st, Cleveland. They're going to be taking on San Diego. Ranked 30th, the Atlanta Falcons taking on Carolina Panthers. And ranked 29th are the Carolina Panthers taking on the Falcons. So you have two of the worst defenses in fantasy football going head-to-head. That should be a shootout. 28, New Orleans taking on Tampa. Ranked 27th, Green Bay versus Minnesota, division game. That should be interesting. All right, let's look at quarterbacks, teams, the worst fantasy defenses versus quarterbacks. We mentioned Cleveland. They're going to be taking on San Diego. Rivers has been pretty consistent all season long. If he's your quarterback, he probably helped you get into the playoffs. Last week against Oakland, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, not too shabby. And every week since week 8, Rivers has had multi-touchdowns. So most people probably rode Rivers into the playoffs, and I never would have predicted that at the beginning of the season on draft day. So, ranked 31st, the Atlanta Falcons taking on Carolina. Cam Newton is going to be at home. What a game against Washington. 300 yards passing. You just don't see those kind of numbers from Newton. 2 touchdowns on Monday Night Football.
What a weird year for Cam.
Yeah.
Like, he was the MVP last year.
Yeah.
And this year he's just, I mean, something's wrong with the brew there in Carolina because they are not good.
Yeah, but then he has a game like this against Washington. Ranked 30th against quarterbacks, San Francisco 49ers taking on Jared Goff of the Rams. Is Goff a dud? Is he a disaster? 135 yards, no touchdowns against Seattle, which, you know, Seattle traditionally has tough defense. But this is his second game in a row with 0 touchdowns. They're not running the ball. They're not passing the ball. Yeah.
I predict he'll get his first touchdown pass against the Niners. The Niners are terrible.
Yeah, that's true. It's the Niners, but
and they're at home.
Nobody's counting on Goff this week in the championship game.
Not.
Ranked 29th, the lowly Jets taking on Tom Brady. Tom Brady had a down game, 188 yards, no touchdowns against Denver. Tough Denver defense. After a 406-yard, 3-touchdown performance against the Ravens, he has a down game. We mentioned it earlier. He probably killed a lot of teams hoping to advance to the championship game.
Thank you.
He's going to rebound against the Jets, but is it too late for his owners? Yeah.
For Joe Velez, it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe you can make a trade with me.
Ranked 28th, Washington Redskins taking on Chicago. Matt Barkley is in under center, and he's been actually looking pretty decent.
I thought he'd be better coming out of college.
Yards, 2 touchdowns against the Packers.
The Packers stink
True.
defensively. Not good.
But he's been fairly consistent.
Yeah.
Barkley, the few times he's been in the game, he's played fairly well. Is he the future Chicago franchise?
You know what? If I'm Chicago, I sure would try to keep him.
Yeah, I think they need to shake things up over there.
Because they don't have any receivers. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey just came back last week.
Oh, yeah.
0 degrees out, and he was still playing pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, nice little rest.
Yeah.
So, ranked 27th, the Saints taking on Tampa Bay. Winston, who had an interesting game against Dallas, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
Yikes. Now, I haven't seen the clip. I don't know if you saw it, but apparently he had a really fluky touchdown. Did you see that at all? I'm going to have to look that up online.
Perhaps. If it bounced off some hands. I did see that. Yeah, I watched that.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
It was not that bad.
Do you start Winston in your championship game against the Saints? If he got you that far, probably. But if you have Winston as your quarterback, I don't know if you got that far.
That game's at Tampa, so yeah, maybe because the Saints' defense is not good.
Yeah.
You know, they're not good.
Yeah. So he might put up some points.
He does.
Let's look at running backs. Ranked dead last against running backs are the 49ers against the Rams. We talked about Gurley being probably the biggest bust of the season. He has not rushed for 100 yards all season. He had 38 yards versus Seattle. 5 total touchdowns on the season. That's heartbreaking.
That's pretty sad.
Will he get into the end zone against San Francisco? Probably, but a little too little, a little too late. I single-handedly blame Gurley in my other leagues for for having the worst fantasy season I've ever had. I built my team around Gurley, and people tried to trade for him mid-season, and I was stubborn. I'm like, no, he's going to turn it around, and he never did. And Gurley ruined my fantasy season. So.
It's hard. It's hard being an owner. You know,
Yeah.
you get attached to these guys.
Yeah.
You draft them, you build around him.
Yeah, he did so well last year for me, and this year, man, big bust. And if he's on your starting lineup, you probably didn't make it into the championship game. Ranked 29th, the Jets against. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong thing. That was San Fran against the Rams. 31st, Cleveland against San Diego. Gordon's still dealing with a knee hip injury. Man, he was pretty consistent all season long before he went down hurt. Starting in his place is Kenneth Farrow, who's not doing much at all. There's talk that Gordon might come back this week, but I wouldn't bank on it.
I wouldn't try to come back either.
Yeah, it's the end of the season,
Right.
and yeah,
They're not going anywhere.
right. Let's see. 30th ranked Pittsburgh taking on Baltimore. Terrence West is in the starting role. He had 77 yards against Philly. Only one 100-yard game all season. Rookie Kenneth Dixon has been coming in and getting some playing time, and he did find the end zone against Philly. Is there going to be a battle for starting running back next season in Baltimore, West versus Dixon?
Yeah, I mean they need offensive playmakers.
Yeah.
So I think they'll take whatever they can get and possibly search in the draft.
Yeah, but I think Dixon may be their number one guy next year. We'll see. Ranked 29th against running backs, the Saints against Tampa. Doug Martin is back and playing fairly well, 42 yards against Dallas. Since he's come back from his injury, he's scored three TDs since week 10. So if you have Martin in your lineup, I would start him.
Yeah.
He's probably going to find the end zone.
Yep.
Ranked 28th, Washington, taking on Chicago. This is a player I like a lot, Jordan Howard, looking good. He had 90 yards and a touchdown against Green Bay. Back in week 13 against San Francisco, he found the end zone 3 times. Definitely start Jordan Howard this week, and I think he's going to be a top 5, top 10 draft pick next season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ranked 27th against the run, Atlanta Falcons taking on Carolina. Your boy, Jonathan Stewart, 130 yards against
Thank you,
Washington.
Sammy.
What's that?
Thank you, Sammy.
Yeah.
Collecting him off the waivers.
Oh, yeah, you pulled him off the waivers,
Yep.
huh? 8 total touchdowns on the season. Get him into your starting lineup.
Stewart,
Yeah.
I might pull him.
You're going to bench him against
If
Atlanta?
Theo Riddick's coming back, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
All right. We'll see.
He bugs me. I mean, I needed
Stewart,
him, and he
yeah,
put up
he's
20 points for me when I
inconsistent.
picked him up, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. We'll see. I'll keep my eye on him.
Thankfully, we have 2 weeks, though, you know, so if I
Yeah,
bomb
that's
this
true.
week.
You could try to make it up next
Yeah.
week. Yeah. All right, let's look at wide receivers. Ranked dead last against wide receivers. Tennessee, they're going to be taking on Jacksonville. What a disappointment over there in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy over the weekend who said that he built his team around Allen Robinson, who has turned out to be nothing.
Oh, dear God. Blake
Allen,
Bortles is terrible.
Yeah, he's just been awful, just awful this season. Allen Robinson turned out to be a dud. Hearns is battling injury. Marquise Lee didn't do much in the passing game, but he did have a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. But even though Tennessee's ranked dead last against wide receivers, man, I don't know if I would put any of those guys in my starting
Oh, heavens no.
lineup.
Heavens no. Tennessee's got way too much to play for. I mean, they just went into KC and, you know, stoned them pretty much. So
Yeah, they did play well. against
collectively, they're a good defense. Apparently they don't grade out well against
wide
wideouts,
receivers.
but
Yeah. Let's skip that LA-San Francisco game. Nothing to see there. Ranked 30th, Green Bay taking on Minnesota. My guy, Adam Thielen, took a hard shot over the weekend, and I don't know if he's going to play this week. We'll see. But who else on that Minnesota roster would you start at wide receiver? I mean, Green Bay's defense is not good, but with Thielen going down hurt, I don't know if there's anyone else I would start from that squad.
Diggs, he's been stashed away on my bench for a
He
while.
hasn't
So
done much of anything.
Right.
He's been another big bust from this season.
yeah, he was looking good the end of last year. You know.
I think if I was to start anyone from that roster, it'd be Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph in the tight end position has been pretty decent. And is AP, he played this past weekend, didn't he?
He did. He lost a fumble.
Lost a fumble. Yeah, a little rusty.
Gained 20 yards, something like that.
Oh, man. Speaking of Kansas City, ranked 29th against Denver. If you have Demaryius Thomas, if you have Emmanuel Sanders, get him into your starting lineup. Thomas had 7 catches for 91 yards against the Patriots. Sanders went 3 for 48. But in Week 14 against a decent Tennessee defense, he had 100 yards and a touchdown. So
that's a tough game because it's a Sunday night football game, Christmas night at Kansas City.
Yeah.
Division game, that's tough. But Denver's got to be desperate.
Yeah.
Because they've lost 2 in a row now. So
I would put either one of those guys in there. Ranked 28th, Carolina Panthers against Atlanta. Jones, your guy Jones, who missed 2 straight weeks. I don't know, is he coming back this weekend?
I have no clue.
You haven't heard anything?
He hasn't called yet.
Filling in his absence is Taylor Gabriel, who had another decent game, man. Taylor Gabriel, get this, has had 6 touchdowns in 7 weeks. Whew. Yeah. Against San Fran, he went 3 for 60 and a touchdown. If you had Taylor Gabriel as your handcuff to Julio Jones, you did well for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone has him in our league. Is he still sitting on the waiver?
I'll find out right after this.
I'll race you. And then another game to skip, ranked 27th, San Francisco taking on the Rams. In one of my leagues, I picked up Brian Quick. I'm a little desperate because I lost Thielen. I might start Quick against San Francisco, but
it's not a bad idea.
So, yep. So there you go. Any thoughts for Week 16?
Going against a good opponent, I pray to the Lord above I do not lose because I will never, ever hear the end of it.
Yeah.
So, God, if you're watching or listening, Santa perhaps.
I'm sure he tunes into this program.
One wish, just let me win. I won't brag. I'm not going to rub it in their face, but spare me, the reverse of that because it would be bad.
Yeah. Me, I'm just going to be glad when this season is over. This has been my worst fantasy football season since I've started playing more than a decade ago. And I got to start thinking about next season already.
You got to rebound with some good Oscar picks and win that pool.
That's right. I don't do very well in my Oscar pool either, but
maybe this is a new year.
We'll see. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode of ONTV's Fantasy Football League. Ian, thanks for joining me. Good luck in the championship game, and we will see you next week for Week 16 with our recap. Have a good Christmas, everybody. Good night.